the 10 episodes of Band of Brothers, a few see the appearance of a variety of German armoured fighting vehicles. As I did with my video on the fake German armour in Saving Private Ryan, let's have a look at Band of Brothers, in my opinion one of the best TV series ever made, and a fine testament to the soldiers who fought. Two important people involved with Saving Private Ryan were also behind Band of Brothers. The director of the movie, Steven Spielberg, was a co-creator and executive producer of Band of Brothers, and Tom Hanks, who memorably played Captain Miller in Saving Private Ryan, was also co-creator and executive producer on Band of Brothers. And he also directed one episode, and even appeared as an uncredited extra. And like Saving Private Ryan, most of the series was shot in England, and like the film, the production team went to great lengths to ensure that the German vehicles look right. Both productions faced the same lack of authentic running German armoured fighting vehicles, and had to resort to some clever ruses to create the effects they wanted, but I think Spielberg and Hanks were completely successful in this regard. We first see German armoured vehicles in Episode 3, Carentan, which details two actions: the battle for the town of Carentan that occurred on the 10th to the 14th of June 1944 between the 101st Airborne Division and the US 2nd Armoured Division on the Allied side, and two battalions of the 6th Fallschirmjäger Division and elements of the 17th SS Panzergrenadier Division and some men from the 91st Infantry Division on the German side. This part of the episode is mostly concerned with the street fighting to seize the town. In the second part of the episode, the Battle of Bloody Gulch is covered, when the Germans launched a counterattack to try to recapture Carentan, employing armour from the 17th SS Panzergrenadier Division, some 12 tanks in all. Historical accuracy was not entirely possible in this battle scene, because insufficient running German tanks were available. So instead, a motley collection of tank destroyers and assault guns were used to simulate the German attack. The largest vehicle on the set was a mocked-up Jagdpanther tank destroyer, which is a version of the Panther tank minus a turret, but this inclusion is a fantasy. The Jagdpanther did not enter the Battle of Normandy until late in the campaign and long after Bloody Gulch. And like the Tigers in Saving Private Ryan, Jagdpanthers did not fight the Americans in Normandy, but the British. See my video on this subject in the end screen. The Jagdpanther used in Band of Brothers is a mock-up built on the chassis of a Soviet T-55 tank, and I have to say it is particularly convincing. I certainly thought that it was the real deal the first time I watched this episode way back in 2001. Also appearing in the episode is a German Stug 3 assault gun. Again, a convincing mock-up. This vehicle, supposed to be a Sturmgeschütz 3 Ausführung G, was constructed from two British FV-432 armoured personnel carriers of the 1960s. A German half-track is seen advancing along with the Stug, carrying Panzergrenadiers, and this is also a modified Cold War-era vehicle. As with the SDKFZ 251 half-track stand-in in Saving Private Ryan, the half-track in Band of Brothers is a slightly modified Czech OT-810, hundreds of which were built post-war in Czechoslovakia and used until the 1980s. In fact, the one in Band of Brothers may well be the one destroyed by a bazooka in Saving Private Ryan. Also joining the action from Saving Private Ryan is this mocked-up SDKFZ 138 Marder 3 Ausführung H, the very vehicle that took out sniper Private Jackson in the church tower in Rommel in Saving Private Ryan, and was later destroyed by Sergeant Horvath with his bazooka. Originally a Swedish SAV M43 assault gun, it shares its chassis with the real Marder, the Marder being built on a Czechoslovak design, making for a very realistic-looking mock-up. Also appearing briefly on camera is a German armoured car, an SDKFZ 222, armed with a 20mm cannon. However, all is not what it seems. In fact, this 222 is a heavily rebuilt Land Rover, but I think it is very successful. At the end of the battle, as Private Blythe moves forward to find the German paratrooper that he shot, he passes a destroyed German army truck. The truck isn't German. It's a 1940 Ford V8 1.5-ton lorry. But the Germans did use such a vehicle, as Ford built trucks at its factory in Cologne throughout the war, giving rise to the interesting situation of Ford-badged vehicles serving on both sides during the Battle of Normandy. Episode 4, Replacements, sees Easy Company parachute into the Netherlands as part of the Allied Operation Market Garden in September 1944. During the Battle of Neuenen, the company is defeated by a surprise German ambush and counterattack involving several German armoured vehicles. The first ambush is staged by a Tiger I. The Battle of Neuenen occurred on the 20th of September 1944, and the fierce German counterattack was built around elements of the 107th Panzer Brigade. It was equipped with Panther tanks, Jagdpanzer IVs, and flak vehicles. During the Battle of Neuenen, 4 British Cromwell tanks were knocked out by Panthers. During the battle, the German force was also reinforced by 2 Tiger Is of Panzer-Ersatz- und Ausbildungsabteilung 500. The Tiger in Band of Brothers is a fake. The 2 fake Tigers built out of Soviet T-34-85s for Saving Private Ryan were no longer available when filming commenced for Band of Brothers, one being in the United States and the other on permanent display at the Imperial War Museum, Duxford, in England. So another fake Tiger was specially built for Band of Brothers. Plus Film Services constructed the Tiger out of another T-34-85, producing a fairly accurate vehicle. So now 3 of these T-34 Tiger Is exist. Following the initial Tiger ambush, leading the charge on the German side is a Jagdpanther, the same fake Jagdpanther seen in Episode 3. And of course, no Jagdpanthers took part in this battle either. At the end of the battle, German forces are seen advancing in strength, and a couple more interesting vehicles pop up in the convoy. An SDKFZ 251/22 half-track mounting a Pak-40 75mm anti-tank gun trundles past the camera. This is another mock-up based on the very similar Czech OT-810 half-track, fitted with a mocked-up Pak-40. Also in the convoy we see another vehicle that appeared in Saving Private Ryan, a Marder 3 Ausführung M. And here I have to make a correction to my previous video on the German vehicles in Saving Private Ryan. I was contacted by Stephen Lamonby, the Vehicle Department Coordinator on Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers, following my earlier video, and he corrected a mistake I made concerning the Marder M used in both productions. This vehicle wasn't a fake, but the real deal. The Marder 3 Ausführung H that was destroyed by a bazooka in Saving Private Ryan and also appears in Band of Brothers was indeed the fake Marder. However, the Marder M was actually built in October 1944 in Prague, in German-occupied Czechoslovakia, and of course is famously destroyed in the film Saving Private Ryan by American troops using Molotov cocktails. However, in Band of Brothers it does nothing more taxing than drive past the camera. The normal SDKFZ 251 half-track and the Stug 3 from Episode 3 are also seen driving through Neuenen after the battle. The next significant usage of German vehicles occurs in Episode 7, The Breaking Point, during Easy Company's attack on the town of Foy, Belgium, during the Battle of the Bulge. The 506th attack on Foy occurred towards the end of the Battle of the Bulge, on the 13th of January 1945. Though fighting in the area had been ongoing since the 101st Airborne had arrived on the 19th of December 1944. On the 14th of January 1945, the 506th successfully stopped a German counterattack on Foy, holding the village. In Band of Brothers, the Germans have 88mm guns in Foy, plus some armour, a Tiger tank, this being the aforementioned fake T-34 based Tiger from Episode 4 of the series, now given a winter paint scheme, and we also see briefly the Stug 3 from Episodes 3 and 4. Throughout the rest of the episodes, no more German armour is seen, but 2 German vehicles do make appearances in episode 10, Points. Firstly, in the scene where a drunk replacement paratrooper has murdered a British officer for his Jeep, abandoned by the side of the road, is a classic World War II German vehicle, a Volkswagen Type 82 Kübelwagen, a light utility vehicle designed by Dr. Ferdinand Porsche and used in many capacities by the Germans on all fronts. I should imagine this Kübelwagen is an original, as a number remain in working order in Britain and across the world. One final German vehicle seen in one of the final scenes is set in Austria is a black 1937 Mercedes-Benz 290 Cabriolet staff car with World War II headlamp shields for the blackout fitted. So there you have it, the main German armoured vehicles and a few others from Band of Brothers. One of the best TV series ever made, and with a huge cult following over 2 decades after it first aired. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.